So I kind of like I'd already been doing a lot of the Lego sets, and I was like, oh wait, I can actually display these as a part of my
Right.
backdrop, because I was like, I'm doing the podcast, I'm starting to do the video portions, I'm starting to get it all put together. So yeah, I had this Scout Trooper. This was the first Lego set I bought in years and years. Well, first one for myself. My sons
Mhm.
have quite a few sets, but the first set I bought for myself in quite a few years. And then it just snowballed, dude. It just like got out of hand real fast. Like the Boba Fett and Darth Vader were Christmas gifts. Then all the other cars that I have, those ones were just like, oh, that's only $16 at Walmart. Let's buy it. And it just became a problem.
I
So
know exactly how it goes, man. It starts with 16 bucks, and 16 bucks here and there doesn't really matter too much. And then at the end of the year,
turns
you're
into
like, what the
250 for this. And
heck? Right.
yeah, I actually bought two of these when it came out. My buddy was like, dude, you could buy two and just sell it. And then I felt too guilty selling it for like a big markup. So someone was able to get it right before Christmas for like the cost I paid for it. I was like, at
Are
least
the
at, like because it sold out like within 2 or 3 days of it coming out. And so I was like, I can't in good conscience just make someone pay twice as much as what I paid for it. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask if they were getting targeted by scalpers too, and that kind of sucks. And it's hard to also, enable that too, because it's cool to make a little money on the side, but someone else could have grabbed that set.
yeah,
It's too
and
much
that's why
for
I
them.
was like, because I picked up two, and then like I said, it sold out really fast, and then as I posted it, I saw these people, like I saw some people charging, it's a $250 set. I saw people charging six. Like six was the highest, but like 550 was like normal. And I was like, bro, I'm gonna just charge the $280, which was the cost of it plus taxes and shipping. And then it ended up getting bid up to like 350. And I was like, okay, you got it at 350, so like I posted it at exactly like the buy now price. I don't know why someone would bid it up, because the buy now price was like less than what they paid for. So I don't know. So
Just extra assurance because they really wanted to swipe it, man. Collection hobbyists have really been suffering from that kind of stuff for the past like couple years at this point.
Oh, for real? I mean,
Yeah.
I actually heard that Lego, if you invested in Legos, like not the company, but the actual Legos themselves, you'd make more money in collecting the Lego sets and selling them than you would have being in the market, like the stock market, because of how much appreciation Lego has. So, because they discontinue sets, so they make them and discontinue them so
Yep.
commonly, and it's and like those ones become huge collector items, like especially a lot of those Marvel ones, like the Spider-Man sets they've got and stuff. But yeah, dude, it's that's fun, man. Do you do Legos then too?
I don't do Legos, but I collect retro game consoles and like
Oh,
modern
dude.
game libraries and Pokemon cards and random stuff like that. And all of them have totally suffered for like just like huge markups on all those products, like specifically in the past 2 years, but even like leading up to that a little bit too. So
Yeah.
I did most of my collecting before then, so I'm mostly good. But yeah, it's been hard to find stuff that I want.
Yeah, dude. Didn't wasn't there some, like the SEC tried to come in and help out, right? Like to make it so there wasn't such insane, because I could have sworn that there was one of the the trade commission, that's the one I meant, sorry, the FTC. Like I heard that they were trying to regulate those secondhand markets to try and stop the scalping like that.
It hasn't been so significant, and honestly, scalping has only dropped in efficacy because people just aren't gravitating towards stuff as much anymore, especially compared to the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure how much they're even able to do because the secondhand market is still booming and thriving. But
Yeah.
like I said, got most of my stuff already, so I'm
Yeah.
solid. But I feel bad for the other people who are looking for those sets and stuff and just not on the shelves or $600 on eBay and stuff. It really hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
And it's I guess it's just the world we live in, right? The FOMO. It's
Yep.
people are live with FOMO big time. And like I guess that's what a lot of collector stuff is all about, right? Is FOMO. I've got a buddy who recently started um doing a bunch of NFTs. Like he's making the NFTs, and he's like, "Hey, can you learn how to develop a platform to like sell NFTs?" And I was like, "Well, I'll try and figure it out." And he was like, he's got like a bunch of it's these tikis, like these 3D tikis that are super dope. They're like various styles of a tiki character. Anyway, so yeah, now I'm learning about NFTs, and I would have never expected, because those ones are such a niche market to me. Like I never thought that it would take off the way it has, because to me, I'm like, it's not, you can't hold it. You don't get anything from it aside from a digital asset that could be screen captured. Like
Doesn't matter apparently, man.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's got that unique ID and it says, "Hey, you own this," you're good. You know, I guess that's what it was. So, yeah, man, it's crazy, but well, awesome. Welcome, Matt. I'm glad we got everyone here.
Yeah, sorry, I'm late. I had a meeting that ran over.
No, you're totally fine, dude. I get it, man. You know, we all have regular lives. I really appreciate you guys taking the time, though. I guess now I've got everything ready to roll. So, first off, thank you guys for joining me on the podcast. I really appreciate, like I said, you guys taking the time, and you guys are obviously busy dudes. So thank you for taking the time to talk with me.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah. So I always like to start out really quick, just with brief introductions of yourselves. You know, tell us who you are individually, and you know, elementary school style, something about you that people may not know, something unique.
Okay, I guess I'll start us off. My name's Adam, and I play lead guitar in Lake Mosaic. And something people may not know about me is I actually really like instrumental funk and jam music.
Oh, sick.
So something I listen to quite often.
That's awesome, dude. There's another band I've talked to a few times, Guitarist. They're from Buffalo, New York, and their bass player's big into the instrumental funk too. So pretty dope, man. Love it.
I can go next. My name is Ben. I play bass in the band. I also play upright bass. I'm really into classical music. Yes.
Nice.
Started
dude.
playing when I was 10, and that's how I taught myself how to play bass guitar just after learning upright bass. But
so at 10, do they have, I would imagine they kind of have to, right? Have like a cello sized upright bass, or did you just learn on the cello? Or is that different?
Yeah, I learned on it's called a half size bass. Yeah, they used to only have cellos in elementary school, and then you would, if you went to middle school and wanted to do music, you could start upright. But in my elementary school, it was the first year they had uprights for fifth graders. I was like, hell yeah, I want to play the biggest one.
That's so cool, man. Dude, there's something magical about the upright bass. It's so freaking cool, dude. That's awesome.
I agree.
That's rad. All right.
So my name is Anthony. I'm the drummer for the band, and I'm actually similar to Ben. I'm a classical musician by trade, so that's what I do full time, freelance music. You can see I've got the marimba over here.
Awesome.
I was like working on wrapping some mallets earlier. There's just all kinds of random drum stuff all over the place.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
So you went to you trained classically like at university as well? Like,
yep. Yeah. So I did my undergrad and master's at Michigan, and I did 6 years of music school. So
that's awesome, dude. Man, yeah. That's ultimately, you're living the dream. You're in a band, and then you're also you're working freelance music full time. That's sick, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great gig.
All right, who's next?
I'll go next. My name is Matt. I'm the vocalist in Lake Mosaic. And then I guess something that I do have done outside of the band that people may not know is I studied a couple different martial arts for like 25 years.
Yo.
So yeah.
Which ones?
There's a lot. I did Taekwondo for a long time.
Okay.
But a little bit of like karate, Aikido, Hapkido.
Dang.
Kind of you name it.
Did you ever like dabble into mixed martial arts at all and like start competing in anything?
Yeah, I used to compete like regionally in Taekwondo when I was a kid. When music happened, I kind of put that on the back burner. But I did do a little bit of Taekwondo in college again, like recreationally.
Awesome.
And then one of the forms that I did was effectively mixed martial arts, where we would do jujitsu, aikido, all that kind of combined.
Dang,
But
dude.
I never like went to a gym or had pro fights or anything, and I'm pretty out of shape right now. But
I was gonna ask, do you still practice? Do you still try to keep up your form and stuff?
Mostly I throw kicks every once in a while when I have the time, but I definitely need to like stretch more and
Yeah.
get
When the
back
rest of
into
the
it.
band has pissed you off, you guys are like, just pay attention, guys, and throw your kick.
He does a lot of stomping on stage. I don't know if
That's
that
true.
translates.
That's awesome.
And my name is Naveed. I am the rhythm guitarist for Lake Mosaic. I have been playing guitar since I was 10 years old, mostly dabble in progressive metal. I played upright bass actually too for a few years throughout middle school and high school.
Yeah.
I guess two of the facts that I would point to, like I mentioned earlier, my illustrious video game and card collection. And I played varsity lacrosse in high school too.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah, dude. Lacrosse is not very big here in Utah, I don't think, but out there, like towards the Midwest and Northeast and stuff, you guys like lacrosse is pretty big out there, right?
East Coast especially, yeah. Midwest definitely
Yeah.
dabbles, but East Coast is where the big stuff is, and yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why, but like Duke was the school that came to mind of like lacrosse. I don't know why. But
super fun sport. It was fun basically role playing sword fighting in a school sport setting. So I had a lot of fun with that.
That's awesome. Yeah, dude. I had a friend growing up who played hockey and lacrosse, and he was like, "All right, dude, I want to show you how to play lacrosse." And I was like, "Dude, sounds awesome, right?" And it was like before his birthday party where we are gonna go play paintball, and I'm like a wuss, like especially at that point, I was a real wimp. And so he's like showing me how to play lacrosse, and he like throws the ball, we're throwing it back and forth, and then his brother comes, he's like, "Hey, I want to let's actually play." And he gets his long defense stick. Those are freaking huge. And he like slams it in my shoulder, and I was like, "What the crap?" And I just like, I'm done.
Yeah, he was being a jerk about it, man. But I also used the deep hole too, and those things are 6 feet long. And it always felt really unfair when people with the shorter few foot sticks would come at me, and I'm just like, I've got the objective advantage. And you're allowed to hit pretty hard and stuff. So it's if you're playing casually with someone new, you don't go hard on them like that. So I don't know what his deal was, but it's still
he was just the older brother who just was, the older brother dynamic. They just want to just razz their younger brother, I guess. I don't know, but
right. Yeah, took sword fighting too seriously.
Yeah, exactly. Well, man, so I think I can't recall the new EP, the new music you guys are releasing. I can't recall, has it released yet? Because I listened to it. I think I got a separate link that I listened through, which is I was super happy. I was like stoked. I love the music. So tell me, like the new stuff you're releasing, has it released officially yet?
Yeah, it actually just released this past week.
Okay.
This past Friday, February 11th. And we had like a blowout local show in Ann Arbor at the Blind Pig.
Dude.
Played with some really awesome bands. So
how'd that
go? It was
a
great time. It was amazing. Like had a great turnout, and people really seemed to enjoy themselves. So
that's awesome. Was this the first time back on stage since like the pandemic, or had you guys been able to play prior to that?
So this was our 6th show, I want to say. Is that right, guys?
Yeah, we're brand new. June 2020, I think, right? That's when we got started about.
Yeah, well, Matt joined.
It's like October.
That, right?
Yeah.
October.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, man.
And then our first show was our first show was a year after that, a year after Matt had joined the band.
Just past October. Yep.
So so just a few months ago. Okay.
Yep.
Dude, that's stellar. And with the I'm imagining, obviously you guys starting in the middle of the pandemic, you must have known each other beforehand. So how did things get started? How did you guys start Lake Mosaic?
So it kind of started with me just demoing some stuff like in my bedroom, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And getting some song ideas together. Or I was originally working with a different vocalist, and she wasn't able to sing anymore because of health reasons, unfortunately. So actually, I think it was when she was still in the band. I've known Ben for a long time. We were in a band. I guess we've been in several projects together over the years and known each other forever. And so he came in, and I met Anthony through a mutual friend of ours. And then, after Madeline wasn't able to sing, that's when Matt had joined at that point.
Wait, Matt and Madeline? You're like, it had to fit, right?
Yep.
That's
And
awesome.
Adam should clarify too. That's when Adam put out a Craigslist ad.
Oh yeah,
to find a vocalist.
Gotta add that.
That's how
there's a lot
Matt.
of
That's how we met Matt.
a lot of weird stuff on my end. Not only the Matt Madeline thing, but yeah, I was playing with another band, and we were looking for a drummer, and so I was on Craigslist for that, and I was at the point of like 10 years straight of no good luck with bands and starting stuff, and then it doesn't go anywhere. And this band had been together for 3 years, and we played one show because we couldn't keep a full lineup. And
that's tough.
I literally was like, if this doesn't work for a drummer, I'm gonna quit. Like, I'm gonna sell all my stuff and just give it up. And then I saw their ad and then auditioned for it. So
you're like, well, I'm actually gonna go the other way. I'm just gonna jump into another band, and dude, that would be rough, man. Like, not having a solid lineup. So this lineup, obviously, Matt, you joined October. Adam, you said you and Ben kind of started. How did Anthony and Naveed? How did you guys become a part of it?
So, one of Adam's and my mutual friends, who I know from Michigan, he did low brass and composition in his undergrad. And Adam, Nelson from I forget, it was like a audio something.
Yeah, we're both in like a kind of a local producers group. We're
cool.
both into audio engineering, so that's how I've known him.
Okay.
Yeah, and I got a text from our mutual friend Nelson, just out of the blue. He's like, "Hey man, I have a friend who's starting to work on this pop punk project. Holy crap! And they're looking for a drummer. Like, is that something you'd be interested in?" It's like, sure, why not? Give it a shot. Like, it's I got nothing else to do, and that sounds like something I've wanted to do for a while. So I went out to Adam's parents' place where we've been rehearsing. We're very thankful that they're letting us use their place, and went out there, met up with Adam and Ben, and we jammed for a little bit, and then that was it.
Just fell together. That's awesome, man.
I think I sent him the demos for Perseverance and Losing Grip, I want to say.
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
So they had my like rough MIDI drums on them, and
we had an idea of what you're going to accomplish as a band. So
yeah, we had an idea, but he came in and he played it. I was like, holy shit, man!
Like, this is what we
he's
needed.
Really good. Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, he brought those parts to life for sure.
And I've known Ben since elementary school, and he's just a year older than me. And when I was 14 years old, and him and Adam were 15, Ben and Adam had this project called Bury the Witness, and they were actually playing like a lot of shows at the time. For a 15-year-old, Adam was composing some really, really weirdly well-structured music, and it was a little more kind of deathcore, metalcore style stuff that I was really into at the time and still am. So they just needed some fill-in. So for about like 2 years, I was just filling in for random shows on bass and guitar and a little vocals. And then we kind of did that. And then afterwards, we all went off to college and we're doing our own things. And then, I guess about a year and a half after they formed like Mosaic, they asked if I'd be willing to fill in on some shows for guitar. So I actually played their first show with them, and then about one or two more. And then I joined permanently just recently. So known these guys forever, known Anthony and Matt as long as since like August of last year. And Ben since we were little babies. So
that's awesome. So what was the shift from stepping in and kind of filling in to being full-time? What made that shift happen?
The other rhythm guitarist is also in the world of academia and music and stuff, and he is pursuing. He's going for pursuits more in that regard. And again, I live around these guys, so I was always down to just continue filling in and doing whatever I needed to, because I just these guys are great friends, so I'm always happy to help. And also for me personally, after the past couple of years, it's really fun to just get out there and play music too. So it's win-win for me either way. Always has been.
Yeah,
man.
It's funny how this just happened, because this is like just days ago, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we had a rhythm guitarist, Evan, who's also a classical musician. He's an amazing tuba player. He just finished his PhD in tuba performance.
Wow.
So he played our release show with us last week, and he decided to step out because he is preparing for some huge auditions right now. I think he has a Los Angeles Philharmonic audition in a couple months. So he's just like really hitting the shed right now. Wanted to dedicate all of his time towards that.
I think he's taking an audition in Sweden too, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. Oh wow.
That's
awesome.
He's
on the grind right now. And Naveed, like you said, had been subbing with or filling in for Adam and I back in our old Screamo band, as I would say, Bury the Witness. So
yeah, I heard Bury the Witness, and I was like, yeah, that's some mid 2000s metalcore. Like, that like the name was just like perfect. I was like, oh yeah, they're trying to be right there in that whole world. I love it.
Our songs were like 90% breakdowns. So.
Well, I guess that explains, the because I would imagine, like, it's funny because when Anthony was describing pop punk, I was like, yeah, they are pop punk. But then the description when your press contact reached out to me is like pop punk with breakdowns. I was like, okay, so 4 years strong. And I was like, okay. And I heard what you guys are doing. I was like, dude, this is fun. This is good stuff. This is the type of music that I listen to on a regular basis. And so it's always fun to me, like, to talk to bands like you guys where, like I said, I'm listening to this kind of music anyway. But I am curious, particularly Anthony and Ben, like, how does being a classical musician, classically trained, and kind of coming from that world, how does that translate? Like, I feel like it's obviously music is music, but there's a big void or big difference between stepping in as a trained percussionist in an orchestra versus being a trained percussionist and being a drummer of a pop punk or just rock band, I guess. Kind of how does that happen for you guys?
So I actually grew up listening to all different kinds of rock, progressive rock. My dad kind of got me on like all the 70s, 80s stuff, Zeppelin and Rush and, you name it. And like really when I was younger, I was mostly like a kit player, wanted to be a rock star, like, every little kid. And I was sort of introduced to classical music later, and drum set kind of took a little bit of a back burner while, I was learning keyboards and orchestral stuff. And sort of revisiting it a bunch of years later, I don't want to say it's given me like a new perspective on kit playing, but I feel like, some of the things that I've refined in playing, really soft snare drum excerpts or, playing Bach or something, like some of those things have given me just like new tools that I can use to phrase fills or, memorize tunes quicker or, playing fills that might not necessarily be in the genre, but bring influences from other drummers that I've heard and other composers and things like that. So it's been really helpful, I think, just to, like I said, learning this music quickly has been a big part of it, and learning it better. But also, some of the fills that I've played and some of the grooves and some of just the way I approach the instrument, I think has been definitely helped by all the things I've been doing as a classical musician.
That's awesome. And like as you were training classically, and you said obviously the kit kind of took a backseat for a while. Had you ever intended on going back to that? Like, what was was it like, because you said, you were thinking, oh, that'd be kind of fun, joining a band. It's something I've thought about doing a while. Like, when did that change and you thought, man, it'd be kind of fun to go back onto the kit and have that experience on the drums again?
Yeah, actually, so the first time I kind of got back into this world, actually, Evan, we're good friends throughout school, and he was really into a lot of like hardcore rock stuff, a lot of spoken word stuff, a lot of Spute, Shane Coyson.
Okay.
Trying to think of other stuff off the top of my head. Anyway, so he actually wrote an album of spoken word and hardcore stuff. We did a project called House of Hummingbirds, and like he wrote all the lyrics for it, all the poetry. And that was something we just kind of did for fun in our masters. Nelson actually helped us record it. We got to use the audio recording studio here at the university. And that was kind of the first real intro back into it.
Okay.
And then through that project, I met another guitarist, Ben Harmson, who he and Nelson have a group together. And he asked me to record drums for what is now a prog rock band that I'm actually also in. But it was just a solo guitar project at the time. He asked me to record drums for that. So there's a whole album that we're slow burning the release, sort of like one tune every month and a half.
Okay.
So that was great. That was 2019. And then the pandemic hit. We all, hibernated for a few months. And then, and then this opportunity came up. I'm like, yeah, let's keep the ball rolling.
Awesome, dude. And what about for you, Ben? Like I said, like, I feel like obviously, going from an upright bass where you probably plucked every once in a while, but from a bow and stand up to, that very warm bass to being a bass in like a pop punk / rock band, what was that transition like? How did that happen for you? Because obviously it sounded like you and Adam had been making music for a while, but I'd imagine something kind of clicked where you're like, I'd like to do the electric bass instead of just the stand up.
Yeah, totally. No, so I took quite a bit of time off actually during college, probably 4 years. I didn't play electric bass at all. So I was only
Okay.
playing upright every day, all the time. And then after college, after I moved back here, I was down in Ohio and I moved back up to Michigan. Adam had moved back around. So we started jamming again. And he was writing some music for another project he was getting started. So that kind of got me back, inspired. So I was picking up my bass again, just playing for fun on the side. And then I just kind of did that for a while until maybe a year later, Adam gave me that call. It was like, "Hey, you want to join a pop punk band? Trying to
And
start
you're
one
like,
with this vocalist, Maddie." I'm like,
let's do it.
sure, let's do it.
And it was
Let's
like
do
it was like right around the start of the
awesome.
pandemic too.
Oh man.
It was like, let's do it, and then everything shuts down. It's like, oh, okay.
Oh,
Won't be
okay. I
playing
guess.
shows.
Yeah. And Adam, you said that so I'm just wanting to make sure I remember. Evan is the friend who was the former guitar, right? Who's now
Right.
preparing to be freaking stellar in Sweden or in LA or wherever he ends up because he's super talented. Nelson is the other producer friend of yours, right, Adam?
Yep, that's right.
So I'd imagine that means, just kind of reading between the lines, that means you are a producer as well. Do you guys self-produce? Is that kind of like your baby? Is this like your baby that way?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've done most of the recording. Nelson helps with the drum recording. It's
Oh, okay.
something, he's been doing a while and he's really good at it. So we actually recorded all the drums in my parents' house, DIY style.
And that was the place Matt said you guys were super lucky to have a place to be in, right? Is that I think Matt said he's like, we're super lucky to have someone's house to
Even
practice in.
luckier. So we're
Yes.
lucky to have a great practice space already, where his parents live, but they also have this super awesome lake house out in South Haven, which is about 2 hours away from where most of us are at. And so they let us use the space for a weekend. So we emptied out the living room and just put a drum kit in there.
Yeah.
This giant open space.
Got a
That's
100
so
mics
cool.
up everywhere.
Yeah.
Man, that's so cool.
We're able to shoot a music video there too. We're actually releasing a music video next week. That was shot in the entire house.
Dude, that's so cool. And obviously, kind of ties in with Lake Mosaic. That's all nice.
Definitely. I think that's
so
kind of
cool.
where we got the idea from. Is it was like after drum recording there. My parents also had like a decoration of a nautical compass that we saw when
this logo came from.
We're just like,
oh, nice, dude.
What if we did that for the
house.
logo?
Oh, you literally got it printed onto a hat. That's awesome, dude.
Yep. But yeah, I think we were watching Borat 2 and had that idea about the nautical compass. Just the most random thing ever.
It's a great logo.
It's a very nice logo. Yes, yes. That's awesome, man. Man, I love hearing these like kind of the background stories, because obviously like hearing the music, you can appreciate all the different skills that you guys have and kind of how it all came together in such a great way. But I think it's really rad to kind of see obviously the journey that each of you have taken to get to this point. And Adam, obviously, Adam, you were talking about how you initially had it was Madeline, right? And she was unable to continue singing. Did things change, like the way that you were writing and producing when Matt joined on to kind of take that place?
I would say definitely. Madeline, she was a great vocalist. It was all clean vocals. So kind of at the start, and you can tell a little bit, like the first two songs I wrote with her were Perseverance and Losing Grip, which I would say don't get quite as heavy as maybe the rest of the record. Matt came in, the first demo he sent us was What's Left of Me. It was the chorus of that.
Okay.
And just amazing singer and screamer. So definitely hearing that, it made me want to take it into more heavy territory. So
for sure.
Yeah.
So Matt, you joined obviously October. How long you guys, I mean, that's a really quick turnaround compared to most bands that I've talked in terms of recording, releasing. I don't know that I've seen a 6-month turnaround for recording, mixing, mastering, and releasing. So
year and 6 months.
Yeah, it was
so
2020.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's a little bit more reasonable. That makes more sense to me.
Should have just rolled with it, guys. We would have sounded cool.
First release was February, right? We released a single last February.
Our first release, I think, was a year before the album came out, like on the dot.
Oh, that's awesome. And like with were the songs all prior to you joining Matt, or did you kind of come in and adjust melodies or add or write things on your own? What was kind of the process between you guys?
Yeah. So I did the Craigslist ad, and I don't remember. Adam hit me back pretty quick. And I was shocked. They just sent me a folder full of songs, basically. And at first I was like, what's this guy doing? I could just steal all this stuff, but not that I would. But I just started going through it, and for whatever reason, I got to like the halfway through, and that was What's Left of Me, and busted out. I think I sent him a demo of the chorus like within, I don't even know, 2 hours of me sitting down with it, and then wrote the rest of the song, or the vast majority of it, after that, the same day. And then after that, we had a couple of practices where I was still kind of figuring out if they, if I was in the band or not. And it was kind of like once a week I would come in with like the majority of, another song, just with ideas of things, and, make noise at practice. And then
stomp a lot.
I'd say, yeah, after that, it kind of got to be a little more formal, like writing sessions. And I think the majority of the music was pretty much figured out. I mean, that was before drum recordings happened, so it was a little more like demos. But I kind of write melodies on a piano usually, and then try to throw lyrics on it. And I had gone through not a great time right before this, so I had a lot of notes in my phone about things, and it was a lot of like I would come to, you know, a session with maybe 2/3 of the song, and then Adam and Evan would kind of help me get through the rest of it. And Evan wrote a couple, the majority of a couple of the songs on the record as well, where we kind of switched positions, where I would do a little bit, he did most of it. But yeah, it was like kind of maybe more like what I guess like a lot of pop artists deal with, where it's like, here's a list of songs, come in, do your thing. We're going to sit down and hash out melodies and harmonies and kind of take a little more formal approach.
Nice. And I am curious, obviously, you know, with when you were saying, the way you were saying it, it's almost like, you know, you're in high school, you hold the girl's hand and you kiss her. You're like, wait, are we dating yet? Right. Like, it's kind of what it sounded like with like, am I in the band yet? So how did it officially, like, was it like, hey, you're in, or was it just kind of like, you just kept showing up and they're like, yeah, well, you're in. It just kind of happened.
Literally is like what you just said, where I think I went 3 times, and the 3rd time I was like, let's go. Are we together? Like,
well, you've moved in now. So.
It's funny because I don't really remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Because, yeah, it's just like, you've got to know for sure, right? You're like, I mean, can we make this official? You know, it's on Facebook. We're in a relationship now, right?
Right.
That's awesome, man. And so did you take anything from, like, obviously, like you were talking about, you were in a pretty, you know, not great place with the other band, and you left and joined before you joined Lake Mosaic. So were you in, like, did you have songs that you kind of had started writing there and moved them over, or did you start from scratch with Lake Mosaic?
Yeah, this other band, we had like it was me and one of my best buds from like high school.
Okay.
So we'd been writing for a long time and been in a couple other bands together. So we had a ton of, like, he and I can like sit down and write a song on guitar, because I used to play guitar in that band as well. He and I can sit down and bust a song out in like 4 hours instrumentally. And we're just like, it's like once one of us has an idea, we just go off. So we had a ton of like music figured out, but no lyric ideas per se with that. So all of everything that happened with Lake Mosaic was like, I mean, if you've listened to the record, I had pretty bad breakup with a pretty not great relationship. And then like a month later, because of the stress of that, I had a little bit of a health thing. And then a month after that, COVID starts. And so it was just like a year of dealing with all of that compounded. Yeah. So I had just a lot of, thoughts and things going on. And I'd probably written down a lot of that to try to make sense of it, just almost as like a psychological thing, to try to just work through it, almost like journaling or something like that. And then when this opportunity came up, it was like, okay, cool. I'm going to take a lot of that and convert it into like bars.
Yeah.
And then, so I didn't like have any prior like musical melodies or anything like that. It was pretty much like, what do these guys have? Let me work with that, which I think for me tends to be the best way if I have a starting point, for sure.
Yeah. And obviously, with how the record kicks off, was that part of that angst?
That was I don't remember where that came up with. I think we were just jerking around at practice, and I was just like, let's fucking do it. And then we're like, okay.
Yeah, it was definitely.
Or it might have been in a recording session. I can't remember, but
yeah, I was just like, that's hilarious. That's a great way to start off a pop punk record, right? It just kind of like, it shows the energy. It just brings in like, here's what to expect, boys and girls. This is buckle up. You're in for a ride. And like I said, it kicked off great. And honestly, like I said, the record's fantastic. I was super stoked to have been able to listen to it early. And obviously now everyone can listen to it. So I am also wondering with you, Naveed, like stepping in, filling a pretty big role. Obviously, it seems like Evan was a pretty instrumental part of, not you know, literally and figuratively, part of how everything went. When you stepped in, all the stuff is recorded, and you know, now you're playing the shows, but you're playing, you know, Evan's parts. How been you to like to slide in? Has it been pretty seamless for you, or has it been a little bit of a challenge to kind of catch up and be on the same page with everyone?
Yeah, so I mean, lucky enough, like I told you, I've been playing guitar since I was like 10 years old, and in that entire time, I never stopped practicing regularly. I'm what you call a bedroom guitarist, so I have been honing my skills since I was a small kid. That when they finally asked me to join, or you know, to start filling in and stuff, actually, Adam and Evan just sent me videos of the rhythm guitar parts, and I just kind of watch those videos, and I can learn from sight, you know, sightseeing rather than sight reading.
The easiest way to learn is by watching someone play it. But maybe that's just my opinion too. Like you and me, we're on the same page there.
That's exactly it, man. And I'm used to playing a lot of progressive metal stuff. So coming into this music, I felt, you know, like very, very prepared for it. So really the process of, you know, catching up to speed was just a matter of spending more time in my bedroom, you know, watching and practicing like I've been used to for the past 13 years. And as far as, you know, the other roles that Evan played, you know, I haven't been a part of any songwriting yet because, you know, like we were saying, this is all still pretty new. I've already started working on a little, you know, like just a tiny bit of songwriting myself for guitar parts. I'm still scared that, you know, some of my progressive metal background seeps into my songwriting too much. And so I'm kind of trying to keep that in mind that I'm not, you know, playing in a progressive metal band. So I think that's one of the biggest hurdles that I personally face. But as far as, you know, really catching up to speed, another hard thing was I hadn't played live since before college, which was something like 6-7 years ago. So that first show that we played, I was super nervous, body shaking the entire time, you know, barely able to breathe and stuff. And it was great because people told me that it seemed really relaxed and personable, you know, like on stage. So it was good to know that it came across like that. But honestly, after that first show, the nerves totally went away. I just needed to reconfirm that I was able to play music live and not brain fart and forget everything that I was doing. And I think some of the other guys feel the same way too.
Oh yeah, man. I was pretty dang nervous our first show too.
It was funny. I was gonna say because Naveed and I were hanging out right before the first set, and I'm like, this kid is freaking out, man. And he like, perfectly played everything, no worries. It was pretty good.
Matt's like, hey. Oh, go on.
I was gonna say it was our first show ever. Naveed was filling in at our very first live show. So
you were,
it wasn't just
I forgot.
Show. It was all of our first show.
Yeah, I forgot. You were already filling in before you actually became a member already. So yeah, you were at least kind of a part of the band in a lot of senses prior to actually becoming a member, right?
And that's the thing is that I also had the huge benefit of, like I said, I started coming to practices in August before our October show. So I had plenty of time to learn the songs on my own, you know, get together with these guys, kind of actually, you know, reacclimate to playing music with other people because it's a heck of a lot different than doing
a very different experience.
So honestly, I had 3 months to kind of, you know, get to know the guys that I didn't know. Learn the parts, you know, just get comfortable with everything again. So I feel like I was totally set up. So as far as real hurdles were concerned, it was just a lot of slow burn practicing and learning and memorizing over time. Because I did have to pick up something like 7 or 8 songs right away. And it wasn't all right away, but, you know, that was kind of the short-term goal. So on top of the other stuff that I do, you know, keeping the mental bandwidth for that and also just, you know, getting my, you know, chops, you know, up for this kind of music that we're playing. It was all just a lot of fun. It's honestly hard to even point to it as any sort of job or labor or anything.
Heck yeah, dude. That's awesome. So I want to make sure I'm not mixing up the Octobers. The first October show was 2021. The first October Matt is in the band is 2020. That's where I was confused before.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was it helped me to come full circle in my brain. It's like, why did I think it was only 6 months that you guys have, you know, now it comes together in my head. So, Adam, like obviously, you know, you said that you do a lot of the, you know, the production. How much is in-house? What process do you, cause, I'm going to expound a little bit on this because every time I talk to a band, a lot of times the producer is a really instrumental part in trying to kind of get an outside perspective on the music, and to kind of have a non-biased opinion as they're recording. So you being in the band and producing, what's kind of your method to really keep your emotions out of a song that you may be in love with, that may be improved or helped by outside perspective?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, definitely I'm like heavily involved kind of from start to finish.
Mhm.
I would say in the demoing process, at least, one thing I do sometimes that helps me is as soon as I like write the song or the instrumental, at least, if I don't listen to it for a while and I come back to it later on, when I do come back to it, I can be like way more objective and just be like, oh, this is like really missing something here. I need to restructure this.
Yeah.
So from a songwriting perspective, that's one thing that's definitely
How
helped.
long would you say that you need to be away from it before you kind of clear your mind of that melody, of that song that you've got in your head?
I mean, maybe at least a few weeks, but also something
Okay.
else that helps. If you just dive into like writing more music, then it kind of like clears that space up a bit, if that makes sense.
No,
Then
that
you
makes a
come back.
complete sense, because you're
Yeah,
basically replacing it. It's kind of like, oh, no room for that
exactly.
one anymore. You're kind of pushing it out to the side.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And then when it comes to the recording producing part, um, I mean, another, I guess, way I try to keep things objective is I'm constantly sending mixes to friends like, Nelson, we talked about a little bit. I always have him crit my mix and, tell me where it could be improved. And we're actually, a good friend of ours, Drew, who's in the band and masters all our stuff. So
Oh,
kind of
awesome.
the very final stage after the mixes are done, we have that
You
outside
have another set
perspective,
of
which
ears
is
on it too.
yeah, yeah, that's been super helpful too.
That's awesome. Well, and I mean, I feel like it's really cool because, you know, there are a lot of bands who don't have that in-house production, so they aren't able to really know their full potential because they don't have someone who can help them reach that. So it's probably like probably really advantageous to the rest of the guys in the band for you to be like, all right, we can actually improve this, we can do more, we can add to this, we can tweak this, because you've got that full capability, right?
Yeah, definitely. And Matt's got a ton of production experience as well, so it's been super nice just sending ideas back and forth, and coming up with harmonies and tweaking parts here and there.
That's
Um,
awesome.
Production and experience in a band is just so helpful, especially like when we were in the pandemic. We were still on the more cautious side at the beginning stages of the band.
Yeah,
And doing a lot of that work remote was really nice.
I'll bet.
And it's so luxurious to have a demo that 10 minutes after you write something. Like, it's ridiculous. It's a luxury that I forget about sometimes, is having Adam and Matt when we're writing something, as we're writing it, they're demoing it out and literally mixing it so that we have a demo to play, and I can go home and practice to and whatnot right after we wrote it, where
That's
normally, it's
incredible.
a whole demoing process. No, it's just
So
they wrote it.
so with that, like, you're demoing it as you're playing it. How many changes come, like, you got that first initial demo that you guys are putting together, Adam and Matt are kind of mixing it and getting it ready for everyone to have as they're going to listen to it. How many times are you guys going in and saying, "All right, I found stuff I really love and I found stuff I really hate." How much is that happening with each demo?
I might be the pickiest. I'm just gonna say that. I find a lot of stuff I don't like, and a lot of it's mine.
Well,
So,
I mean, that's valuable, right? Like, be your own biggest critic. It helps
yeah,
to improve yourself. So
Yeah, I was gonna say a
if
lot of what I throw down at the beginning, especially like with the original material we did, because we have started kind of messing around with some new ideas. Because of prior experience, you know, because I used to be like kind of where Adam's at with bands in the past, where I was putting together all the EPs and everything. I guess knowing enough to know like, okay, a lot of this is going to change. So I try to just put down like one line, unless I have a really good idea for like a harmony. It's pretty much like, I know when he and I go through and do the like final vocals, that's oftentimes where like the harmonies come into play. So kind of not committing to like too much up front, I think, at least vocally, has been kind of a good idea, I think, for us.
I'd imagine, yeah.
Yeah, I think, and a lot of it with the drum parts too. I don't know, maybe you guys change more than I think, but I feel like I have changed more drum parts, and not because I don't like them, because it's really cool hearing what you come up with, and oftentimes it's not something that I would have come up with. So it's good for me as a challenge to like, okay, I got to learn this thing that isn't as intuitive, mostly because you write such damn hard parts. There's some of those fills where I'm like, dude, I just cannot keep up with that.
He might be the first drummer that can actually play my MIDI drum parts. I just write stupid parts sometimes.
Begrudging. No, I'm kidding. But it's kind of fun for me because I guess I should preface this with saying like Adam and Matt have a much better understanding of how drums should go than I have an understanding of how guitar parts are written.
Okay.
So they have all of the guitar parts. Sometimes there'll be some vocals thrown into a demo, but then they're able to write a sort of competent drum part, like something that fits, something that works. It's it's very workable. And so then when I get the full demo, I do my best to like hit some of the fills that they have written. I'll do my best to certainly stay within the character. Like, okay, cool, there's this backbeat here, I'm going to keep the backbeat. But a lot of it for me is sort of tailoring it with what is possible, what I can physically do, but then also like there are a couple fills where I'm like, oh, I think this might be cool here. Or like, oh, what if we went into double time for a minute? And, I guess sort of opening this up a little bit more, it's been really fun because it's such a collaborative process for the most part. So like Adam and Matt oftentimes will be sort of leading a demo or leading a new tune. But then, we get to rehearsal and like, there have been a bunch of times where it's like, oh man, would it be really cool if we like went to a China thing here, or like we could turn this break and do something a little bit different, or, what if we added this other like riff on top of this? So I guess to sort of more directly answer your question, just about like changing parts and things, I think it's less so because we're being picky per se, and more so because just like bouncing ideas back and forth, like having multiple people contributing will often yield a more complete or better, for lack of a better term, like a better result. So it's been really fun in that regard.
Heck yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I think Anthony brought up a good thing just to touch on real quick again, was having the demo and then going through it at practice is a big thing, at least for me. Because like a lot of times, like I said, I'll write a melody vocally on piano, and then it's like, I know kind of where my range limits are at and what, how that's going to translate. Then you put the words on it and everything. Sometimes you twist yourself up with like funny phrases or whatever. But when you actually like get to a position where you're jamming and you're like, for me, like moving around is a hindrance as well. Like I can't just like, I don't have infinite breath to just like on the stage and scream and everything. So being able to go through it like, a number of times over the course of maybe a couple weeks, and like Anthony said, like you're like, oh, this scream part would really hit hard if I like did this like I don't know, like a swell, like a scream swell thing right before it, or just like things that you're not going to come up with necessarily like by just writing lyrics or getting a piano out. That's definitely, I think, been a good thing for us as well.
Yeah, I feel like that's such a unique position to have, and that's really cool because I feel like that's something that a lot of bands probably would benefit from, that ability to really refine, because ultimately if you can't keep hearing it over and over in your head, you can't come up with that perfect harmony, that perfect melody. You can't come up with that perfect fill and that timing, right? Where it's like, oh, this feels like it needs this at this part, and like being able to just have it on repeat, that changes things. That's really awesome. And obviously as you guys were recording and prepping for this release, what was like the process of getting these songs out there? Was it Were there a lot of songs that were like a lot easier, or was it pretty consistently the same thing where it was write it all or do a demo and kind of hash it out for a while? Like, did any of them kind of come together right away?
Yeah, I would say like the first couple lyrically, I think, were easier. Trying to remember
Just 'cause
what
they're
order.
right
Yeah,
in
I
that
mean,
moment.
right. What's left of me was like real easy relative to the
Mhm.
other ones. I think losing grip and what was the other one?
Perseverance.
Perseverance were pretty
pretty early.
quick.
Okay.
We had a couple songs where it's like we have an idea, we go for something, and then it ends up getting, like by the time we get everything done, then it's like, hey, maybe we should go back and revisit that one. I know, like for which one was that?
Wasted Love.
Wasted Love was that song where it was very different the first go around, and by the time we got everything else written, it kind of made sense to maybe go a little different direction.
That's awesome.
Which turned out pretty well, I think. And
Heck yeah.
I think You as well was one that I had like the idea for in my head lyrically way before we actually executed it. And I remember like me and Adam having an 8-hour day trying to go through and like make like I have this idea. I know what I want it to be, but like how are we gonna figure it out? And just making sure, like especially with the bridge on that song and everything, like it was a little more complicated in its nature, I guess.
Yeah.
Conceptually.
Right.
But yeah, I'd say like it probably in general it gets harder for me through the court, like the more songs we write for an album.
Yeah.
Just because you're running out of steam of what to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, you're a little less frustrated. Your life is getting back to a normal state. You're like, oh, I can
Right.
breathe again. I can finally take a deep breath, and life is good. I've got an awesome band. I've got life is going well. But that
Right.
initial moment, it's pretty easy for those first few songs.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I am also wondering, like, with this is something that Adam, you alluded to. You're the most picky. You're going to be most critical of yourself, of your parts. How, like, is it difficult for you to finally settle, like set it in and be like, this is it? Does that come pretty quickly for you, or is that a pretty hard thing to come to? Because obviously being critical of your own creation, but then also producing all of this, like, I'd imagine you could kind of kill yourself mulling over this so much if you're not careful.
100%. Yep. And I've definitely done that. Sometimes, honestly, it takes that outside opinion,
Okay.
someone being like, no, you're crazy. The mix sounds good, that kind of thing. And the writing process as well, I would say. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think, there's definitely a good amount of pickiness and, rewriting and reworking. But then after a certain point, it like goes the other way.
It becomes way detrimental. Yeah, you
Yes.
start.
You
Yeah,
gotta keep that original idea alive still.
because there's magic to it. There's a reason why you went with it in the first place, right?
Right.
There's something
exactly.
about that organic nature of what you originally came up with that kind of can and should live on in that song. So that's awesome, man. I'm stoked. I really enjoy what you guys have made. The music is super fun to listen to, so much energy, and I'm gonna listen even closer now to like all the different parts, because it's fun for me to understand where each of you are coming from and kind of how the band came together. But before we finish up the podcast, I always like to end on a totally not related to the band at all note. Do you guys still have a couple minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome. All right. So this first question is due to the fact that I am a sugarholic and I eat way too much candy. So the first one is, what is your favorite candy / dessert?
M&M's for me,
Yeah,
definitely favorite
M&Ms.
candy. It's unfortunately way too easy to answer because I eat way too many of those damn things. Favorite dessert, posing for a quick second, these pumpkin chocolate chip cookies I make that are from a family friend's recipe from when I was like 3 years old, and I learned how to do them at the beginning of the pandemic, and those are by far my favorite dessert.
Dude, so my wife makes pumpkin chocolate chip cookies, but she uses like a spice cake mix as like a part of the cookie. Do you do that, or is it like a fully made from scratch cookie?
Fully made from scratch. So I use I relatively use a pumpkin puree for it and stuff. The biggest thing I think that's unique to the recipe is using Crisco instead of butter because it makes it come out as more of a fluffy cake
Fluffy,
than an
yeah.
actual like crumbly cookie. So
Yeah. That's awesome, man. And M&Ms, just plain M&Ms?
Mini M&Ms, peanut M&Ms, the hazelnut M&Ms,
Any
regular
okay,
M&Ms,
you're just like any M&M in
Oh.
general. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. I love it, dude. Yeah, M&Ms are stellar, man. What a great candy.
Yep.
All right, who's next?
All right. My favorite candy is the pull and peel Twizzlers.
Oh,
the ones you
dude.
can pull off with the little strings.
Yeah, bro. I don't know why, like it says it's cherry, but it tastes so different than a regular cherry. I don't know
Just hit
why, but
different,
it's
man.
so good, man. So good.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Dessert, cookie dough. Cookie
Just
dough
plain
or
old
wheat
cookie dough.
brownies. Yeah.
Okay.
If I could pick
There
wheat
you go.
brownies, that would be number one.
I mean, you just did, right? So there you go. Oh, that's awesome.
All right, I'm gonna say for candy, probably Reese's, and dessert, key lime pie.
Oh, dang. Yeah, dude. I mean, Reese's, I say this a lot, but Reese's is typically at least one of the people in the band will answer Reese's because it's just like it is just a classic. It is a timeless classic candy that will just never get old. So that's awesome, man.
Definitely.
Well, I can't say Reese's now, so
You could, you could be like, you
Well,
could
I
double
could.
it up and give it extra love,
We'll give some Reese's some extra love. I love a good peanut butter cup. That's like my go-to DQ order is just a peanut butter cup Blizzard. I mean, you
Oh,
can't go
heck
wrong
yeah,
with
dude.
it. I'll give an honorable mention to the Three Musketeers bar.
Really?
I know, really underrated, but I don't know.
I'm with
There
you.
it
Not
is.
enough love. Not enough.
I mean,
Thank you.
I mean, at the end of a trick or treat trip, you're going to be the guy with the most candy because everyone will give you their Three Musketeers without even having to
That's
trade.
true.
Like, no one will even trade you for it. They'll just give it to you. Like, I don't want this.
That's what I'm saying, man.
That's awesome, man.
So, and favorite dessert, man, I go through so many different phases of liking different desserts. My mom has a really, really good recipe for a coconut cream pie.
Ooh.
And
I
it's
love
pretty
cream pie.
fantastic. Like all of the homemade crusts, all of that. And then I don't know what she does, but
Dude.
yeah.
Cream
Good
pies are
coconut pie.
amazing, and coconut cream pie is stellar. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Homemade pie. It's hard to beat that as a dessert. It's so good.
It's really hard to beat.
Has to be homemade though. There's those store-bought ones, those are easy to beat. All right, Matt, what about you, man?
All right. Favorite candy right now is probably because I used to be, as far as honorable mention, I used to be into the big Reese's with Reese's Pieces in it.
Oh yeah.
Those are sick. But
Yeah.
right now it's Kit Kats. I don't know why.
Dude.
It's because they have different kinds, I think. And particularly I like the mint dark chocolate ones.
Oh, okay.
But
Nice,
plus they're not like horrendously bad to eat a whole. I'm the guy that will eat the whole whatever I buy. If I buy a thing that's bad, I'm gonna eat the whole thing. So like I gotta buy reasonable size like desserts. But as far as dessert goes, like I said, I eat the whole thing, so I don't do this often. But Oreos are like drugs, and I will eat the
Oreos.
whole thing of Oreos. Yeah,
Dude, are you a double stuff or a regular?
oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
Gotta go double stuff.
Gotta go double stuff. But any kind of Oreo, don't care what kind, I will eat the whole thing of it.
Dude, they've had obviously they have tons of flavors. Their red velvet was super stellar, but their birthday cake Oreo is just untouchable. It is so good.
It's Oreos and Pop-Tarts have the best like variety of
That's true.
the crazy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. The stuff where it's like Pop-Tart for me as a kid was my parents would never buy it. It was always
Right.
that one where it's just like, that sounds amazing. And you just want, because it had all these really like hot fudge sundae, but it was like, this is for breakfast. And I was like, yeah, please. And now I look back and I'm like, I can't believe that they sell that as a breakfast food. This is incredible.
And it's so much like worse. Like back in the day, it was like you had like strawberry, maybe
Maple
the
brown
chocolate
sugar.
one.
Yeah.
The brown sugar guys, and then they had like the wild berry was like the one in the 90s. And now it's
Now they've
like
got
there's like
everything.
1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, s'mores. You got s'mores flavor, hot fudge sundae flavor, blueberry. Yeah, it's like crazy, man.
Yeah.
Incredible. All right. Next one here for you. This one, sometimes it's hard to come up with your number one answer. So if you need, you can do, top 2 or 3. But favorite movie?
I'm going to
Forrest
steal
Gump.
Anthony's potential answer, and I'm going to say Whiplash. I'm not a drummer, but I really loved Whiplash. That's an easy one.
Whiplash. I've never even heard of Whiplash. What the?
What?
I know. I'm looking it up right now. I'm pulling it up so that way I can save it. That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I never got into the academic
I've
world of
totally
music.
seen.
Yeah,
I've seen clips from this because J.K. Simmons is like an absolute monster to this kid.
Absolute monster. I love J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
He plays it so perfectly, and it's again, like I said, never was into academic music myself, but the movie made me grateful to just stick to the lane that I stuck to. So.
Yeah, I actually have wanted to see that one, so now I know what it's called. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Wait, someone said Forrest Gump. Who said
Yep.
Forrest Gump?
Yep. My
Ben.
favorite movie is Forrest Gump. 100%.
I literally watched that before this.
Dude, that's incredible. I mean, Tom Hanks he's incredible, man. And Forrest Gump is such a fun movie. Just all the things he goes through. It's just so cool.
Oh, yeah. I love you, Jenny.
I love you, Jenny. My mom said, but life is like a box of chocolates. All right, who's next?
I'm gonna go with.
Oh, Adam?
So it's hard to pick. I really like Christopher Nolan, his
heck yeah.
movies. Inception.
Still my
So
thunder
many
right
good
now,
ones.
Adam.
Memento. So many good movies.
Yeah, dude. I love. He always does the
Interstellar.
twists and stuff, and just
Yep.
so good. His attention to detail is incredible too, and his lack of CGI also is really nice, where he actually does it in real life, like that Interstellar scene with Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the hotel room. I learned that was in a shipping container, and they were literally on a crane spinning the thing around. So if you watch that scene again, it gave me more appreciation for it. At least it's incredible.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
So partly because I think it was just a really great movie, and partly because I loved the book so much, and the only one that we got before it was the Lynch film from the 80s, but the new Dune was fantastic.
So good, dude. So good.
Really, really good. Obviously not quite a classic, but that was really fantastic. Also the movie Parasite from a few years ago. I don't know if any of y'all saw that. That was a trip, and I got to the end and felt all sorts of weird feelings, but yeah, that was a really, really excellent movie as well.
Awesome. That's the South Korean film, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, man. Nice choices. Like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna copy Adam because he stole my thunder. But in general, any Christopher Nolan movie is definitely on the top of my list. I answered this question yesterday with The Matrix, but also now I'm remembering there's a movie called Sunshine I can't think of who the main character is, what his name is. It's the guy who plays Scarecrow in the Christopher Nolan Batmans.
Oh, okay.
He's in like 28 Days Later. But it's like it's about like the sun's gonna crap out and they have to go like drop a nuclear bomb on it basically to restart it. And it's like they get stuck in space, and it's sort of like a horror movie, psychological thriller. It's not like supernatural per se, but
cool.
Yeah, it's just really well done for like a low budget. Like it's like a cult classic type thing. But
okay, yeah, Cillian Murphy, he's dope. I started watching he did a TV show on Netflix. Can't think of what it's called. It's about like the gangs of New York in the early 1900s.
Oh, yeah, Peaky Blinders. Yeah,
Peaky Blinders. That's a pretty intense show. Yeah, he's cool, man. I like Cillian Murphy. He's a good actor. All right, last one here for you guys. Again, thank you so much for your time. It's been awesome to get to know you guys. But last question. Favorite non-music related hobby? And I imagine this is tough because a lot of you guys are super heavy into music. So Naveed may have answered because, you know, he and I talked about it right at the beginning. But yeah, something that has nothing to do with music that you love doing.
I probably disc golf like 5 times a week.
Nice, dude.
It's a lot of fun. Similarly related, obviously, when it's February in Michigan, it's a little tougher to do, but hiking, camping, anything outdoorsy kind of ties in with the disc golfing. But just getting out in the woods and walking around for a while.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I imagine it's beautiful out there. I've never been to Michigan, but I've been past Michigan, and I love it out there. Like here in Utah, it's really pretty, but there's just different types of pretty, right? Like Utah's the Rocky Mountains, and then you guys have the lakes and all of the, I don't know, there's something amazing about the Midwest, man. It's beautiful out there.
Where in Utah are you from?
So I'm in a town called Payson. It's right off the freeway or the highway that leads into Colorado. So
yep. My fiance grew up in Springville.
Oh, sweet, dude. Yeah, I grew up in Mapleton. It was literally right. Okay. I went to Springville High School. So
oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that's incredible, man.
But anyway, we were talking a while back, like it's great, you know, her parents, we could go visit. They're right in the mountains. They're, you know,
so they're still in Springville?
The canyon. Yeah, they moved up the canyon a little bit.
Okay, up Hobble Creek.
Yeah, yep, just a little bit past the golf course, and then like it's great, you know, we have that out there, and then visit my parents. Come back in the summer. They live on a lake, so you know we get to.
I mean,
you gotta get the best of both worlds,
dude. That's incredible. Yep. Yeah, dude. Yeah. I love it out there. Yeah, my wife and I were trying to find a house in Mapleton where we could move to. It's just the market out here in Utah is nuts right now, and it's, you know, it's nuts everywhere, but like particularly right now, like it's just it's unfeasible. So
yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
what a small
sorry
world.
Not to derail the whole question.
No, it's good. No,
I had to ask.
Well, kind of on the topic, I like to ski.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah, some of my favorite skiing is out there in Utah. Alta,
yep.
Snowbird, canyons. Is that?
Yeah, the canyons. Yep.
There? Yep, the canyons.
Yep.
Yeah, Utah's awesome.
Yeah, dude. There's a lot of good. Alta, isn't that a ski only? I think Alta's the ski only one. Yeah, they are some snooty guys at times, man. Like I don't snowboard or ski, so I don't really relate. But like I remember there have been people who will like verbally assault people because one guy will have like a Brighton sticker and another guy will have an Alta sticker, and the guy with Brighton is typically a snowboarder, the guy with Alta is a skier, and it gets a little heated, you know. It's kind of crazy.
That's funny. Yeah, it's connected, I think, to Snowbird.
Yeah.
And so you go to the top of this lift and you can ski over to Snowbird, and that's where the snowboarders are allowed.
Yeah.
And so there's this big divide there. And
yeah, it's so funny, man. Yeah, Alta, those guys are very particular. They're like, our stuff stays nicer because we don't allow snowboarders. And I'm like, okay. I mean, during the summertime, I'll hit any of them because I do the mountain biking. I like going up there and riding down the mountain bike. So
you bring your bike up on the chairlift?
Yeah. You can just hook it up. They have hooks on the side. You can just hook it up, get up off the top, and you can ride down. You just have to pay for a day pass, which is like $30 or $40. And you can just ride down as many times as your legs can handle it, which you'd think is a lot, but it's not.
That's sick.
Yeah, dude, it's fun.
All
right.
I can go next. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
I'll go
no,
next. My more boring one is I lift weights every day. But my actual fun one is like we were talking about before. I collect Nintendo consoles and games. I'm sitting in my office right now, and I just have this like pseudo retro setup in the back with my Wii, GameCube, and Nintendo 64 there. So when I'm kind of hanging out here, I go through a lot of the classics there. In my living room, I've got all of my like modern like 3DS and Switch and like Wii U stuff. So honestly, I spend a lot of my time just replaying through oldies, and I try to keep up with new stuff as much as I can. But my backlog and my library are so big that I just feel guilty playing too much new stuff. So that is definitely my main way outside of music, which has always been therapeutic. That is my second most therapeutic way to just unwind and spend my time.
So what's the best retro? I mean, that's a really loaded question, obviously. But
man, well, I was born in 1996 when the Nintendo 64 was released. So I, started playing when I was 3 years old. So I'm very biased, and I would say the Nintendo 64 because jump from 2D to 3D is a big deal. I think overall I would probably say Super Nintendo from a little more objective standpoint. For personal reasons, just like certain games that are on the console and like that jump to it from the NES. I won't get into that too much, but yeah, I'm gonna say 64.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I love the super. Like, I love that whole era of just everything from the Genesis and the Super Nintendo, and yeah, I love all of that stuff. That's awesome, dude. I love it. All right, Adam or Matt, who's up?
Yeah, I'll go. So I would say kettlebell training is one thing I've gotten really into just over the pandemic, mostly because I can't go to gyms.
Yeah. So when you say kettlebell, are you talking like sumo squats, or what are you talking about with kettlebell training?
So it's a lot of swings and some Turkish deadlifts.
Nice, dude.
And yeah, pretty much just a lot of like mobility and just full body movement.
That's awesome.
So yeah, before that, I was doing more traditional lifting, and going to this, it's just been completely different, and kind of, just got really into making programs and stuff. So.
Yeah, I've heard that there are a lot of people who are kind of getting away from the traditional lifts. Like even Brock Lesnar, I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he's the WWE guy. He doesn't do any free weights anymore. He literally does all body weight training, and the dude's like freaking jacked. I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. So he does kettlebells and dumbbells, but he doesn't do any other, like, he doesn't do like the bench press or the squat or anything anymore. I was like, that's fascinating. So that's cool, man. All right, Matt, you're up, dude.
All right. I know I talked about martial arts a lot, but and that's something I would like to do more. Like if music fizzles out or whatever, I think it'd be cool. Like if I had a kid too, to do that with them. But I used to paint a lot, actually. My grandma did that. So it's like, which is interesting because she passed when I was like 3. So I never experienced that through her, but it's like hereditary.
It's still kind of passed on. That's awesome.
Yeah. Like in high school, I used to be somewhat decent. Like I had a couple things go into like competitions or whatever. I don't know that I won anything, but
just to let you know, that's better than somewhat decent. If you had it go anywhere, it's better than somewhat decent.
I did not think I was very good, but so I used to do like I don't know, I had a weird like style of my own, I guess, between like sketching with ink, like felt tip ink, and then like watercolor. So I would really like to get back into that at some point as I get older, just because martial arts is gonna break me at some point.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, that's I actually was looking into some jujitsu classes for me and my son to do together, so we could like kind of, because a lot of it's mental, and that's the thing that I like about like taekwondo and stuff. A lot of it's not the physical necessarily; it's the mental aspect. So yeah, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I've got a 6-year-old, so I was like, maybe that'd be kind of cool for him to get into, and I could stay healthier too. Because I go to the gym, but I don't get a lot of cardio. I just do weights, which isn't super efficient in terms of.
I think jujitsu would be great, and like boxing is another one I would That's one I would be curious to maybe try out. Like I know how to box, but I never like took boxing like classes, like Western style boxing. That'd be
I mean, I've punched a punching bag and I know how exhausting
right.
like you realize how out of shape you are when you just like go at it.
Yeah,
like,
you can't like if you think you're hardcore, you go get in a fight for like 1 minute and see what happens.
Yep, exactly. You just realize, man, I am less than this punching bag right now.
Like I think Taekwondo is like if you're not stopped, if you go nonstop, it's literally like 10 calories a minute. It's crazy.
That's crazy, man. That's awesome. Well, guys, like I said, absolute pleasure to get to know you guys. And keep up the stellar work. Congrats on the release. I guess I should have said that too. Lots of hard work and it's paid off. I think what you guys have done is stellar, and I'm super stoked to see where things go, because this is the first of I hope many great releases. So yeah, man, thank you guys again so much for taking such a long time out of your evenings to talk with me. It was a blast.
No,
thanks so much for having
appreciate it. This was super good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, you guys have a killer evening.
You too.
You too, man.
Thanks, man. You too.
See you too.
Thanks again, man.
Take care,
Take care, guys.
Awesome. Cool dudes, man. What a fun time. Check out their brand new album. It is called Perseverance. Super sick. Really, really, really enjoyed listening to it. I think my favorite song was, I think it was Leave Behind Everything. I have to listen through again. But when I release this episode, you'll know which one is my favorite song, because it'll be the song that plays under the intro. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you for checking out the podcast. Catch you next week. Deuces.